It's 25% as long, but it's 30% longer.
All right, so we reviewed the minutes of the previous meetings, which was on February 13th. Any comments?
Joe, I'm not here for us.
Okay. So we need a motion to
Motion to.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, so the next item on our agenda discusses this village dock. And at one time, there was an announcement this was a public hearing, but that just proved to be premature, erroneous, whatever, and that's not what's happening. So but in the village review of the village dock, the next step is that the information gets provided to the planning board, which then looks at it and especially compares it to the guidance that was set out in the revised village code that was approved by the planning board in December last year. And then we'll have, and so I'll have this, a presentation of plans, some examination of what's in the folder here, and then a sort of a point-by-point review of the plan with respect to the things listed in the local law. And so the planning board has invited the village trustees here to, as they are in some sense our client making the application, and we also invited the village engineer here who is sort of the agent of the village in that they have assembled many of the materials that are here. I don't know if there's someone from.
No, he wasn't.
He's not able to make it.
They were able
This afternoon.
Okay, so so I guess the next step in this is that someone, I guess one of the trustees, present this plan and tell us what the plan is and some idea of how it meets the needs of the interests that the planning board described earlier.
Well, the plan is to build a pier without, it's not gonna be a marine dock, just gonna be a finger pier that's gonna be down at the end of California Park. I think the plan is in there. They wanna put it onto the east side of the boat ramp. It's gonna go 150 feet out or until they hit the correct depth of water with, I believe his plan says 2 or 3 floating docks, depending on what the DEC approves. And Mike, you have the regular plan, don't you? That you did, remember the plan that we did for the building?
Yeah, so we'll look at the pieces that are in here. As we
So do you wanna
discuss.
open the plan that we use for bidding?
Well, so that part of our discussion is what is the plan? If you note, there's a large version of the Nelson Pope plan, or is it only in the?
No, it's only this, he did it by 8.5 by 11.
Okay. All right, anyway, so let's, so that's the presentation part. So what we're gonna do is look through here and see what is in this folder in terms of our plans. So we have one plan that comes from Mike, our building department, And there's another variant of this that shows lighting. And I don't know if that's, is there a large version of the lighting plan in here?
You just did that, that's
I
one
just,
email.
yeah, I just emailed
Everybody,
that.
right?
But I can explain that if you like, Roger.
Well, before we get there, so
Sure.
there is a lighting plan, and then the agent, the consultant, prepared this community or village peer management plan that has this version in here. And this version is consistent with the permit applications, as far as I can tell, that have been made to Brookhaven and others. All right, so so I guess the way to describe this is what was sent out for bid, as Dee was saying, and this plan went with that. And it said to construct a pier between 125 to 150 feet long with 4-foot wide supports with 10-inch diameter piles, 3 by 10 inch pile caps, 3 by 8 inch stringers, 3 by 8 inch transverse cross braces, through flow decking with stainless steel screws. Ramp would be 3 by 30 feet aluminum to an 8 by 20 foot floating dock with timber decking and 4 12-inch diameter float guide piles. All piles and timber should be constructed of untreated tropical hardwoods, untreated lumber, polymer coated treated lumber. All hardwood should be hot dip galvanized, with exception of the decking screws which shall be stainless.
I think the bid was put together, reading the code, making sure that it went with the code, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so the consultant has applied for permits and to several entities, and let's see if I can find the description. All right. A 202-foot linear fixed pier is proposed on the north side of the property. The proposed pier is 4 feet wide and a 5 by 3 foot gangway will provide access to an 8 by 20 foot seasonal floating dock located off the eastern terminal of the dock. A 4.5 by 5 foot fixed timber platform will be affixed to the south side of the fixed pier. A 25 by 3 foot gangway will extend from the fixed timber pier and provide access to 2 8 by 20 foot seasonal floating docks. All floating docks are intended for seasonal use and will be stored in an approved upland location during winter months. Minimum 8-inch piles will be utilized to construct the pier and secure the floating docks. The project site does not include any vegetated tidal wetlands and has been designated to have the smallest footprint while conforming to state and local regulations. So, one thing is this is 202 feet, and that's 50 feet, 150 feet, and so the plans are quite different. So which is the plan? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is not to exceed 150 feet,
Okay.
so if we go back to the village engineer to change that, then we will. I think he was going where he was gonna work, it could be 125 feet if we get to the right depth when they start.
All right. So in any case, so that gives some helps with our charge to help figure out what actually.
And then Roger also has a variable, because you have a floating dock that's also added into his calculation.
No,
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
Gotcha.
So I guess the
Fixed pier is
this one's dated April 24th, and this plan is dated February. The lighting plan is dated in June. So I guess there's, somehow they haven't kept up exactly in parallel. All right, so there is some, so I guess if we take the, then there isn't, I guess, a big version of this plan. But 202 feet plus 20 feet plus another 20 feet is 242 feet, which is somewhat longer than our guidance.
The Nelson and Pope documents though were submitted for, what was this? This is town of Brookhaven.
Yeah, so
This
there's
is
a,
already,
so Brookhaven, there's one here to do Department of State.
The one you had, those 3 floating docks, 250 feet, it comes to 202.
But that's not what the drawing is.
Noted.
No.
Army Corps of Engineers.
42 feet, so
That's not the drawing.
almost 202.
DEC, all, and,
Look at the drawing.
all right, so, I mean, it's pretty clear that the fixed portion is 202 feet on there. There's no question. And so, as I say, part of the question that we should be trying to understand here is what plan makes sense in terms of the setting, in terms of the kinds of criteria that was discussed before, and what it might take to make these plans agree with that. All right, so the other things in the file. Okay, so I think I circulated to the planning board the management plan that was presented.
that's this here.
Yes. And so, so as I said, this puts forward some guidance about what kind of maintenance is needed and I gather this was approved by the trustees. Were there any comments on this?
We sent it to everybody, nobody commented back, and then we approved it.
Joe, they didn't send
Did,
it. They didn't talk about it in front of the group.
Anyone on our board have a chance to look at this?
I read it. Read.
Any comments about?
Can I ask a question, Roger? Is it possible for people in the audience to ask questions?
No, not, maybe at the end.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to go through here.
Okay, because I have a question about the management plan. Ask about the builders.
So, I was wondering if there was a need to state in here whether or not any kind of permit was needed to be a user of the pier.
Well, presently, we don't have a plan to, anyone can use it that lives, it's a resident or a guest, can use the pier. So there's no permit required for that. You need a permit to park down there, but that would be it.
So how can you tell if somebody's who's using it as a resident?
It's no different than tennis courts, how do we know if someone's using it for their resident?
Well, that's good.
Well, I don't know if it's good, I'm just saying it happens.
Well, I mean, and then you pointed out that cars come with stickers on them. Boats would have stickers on them that said resident boat. Presume possibly, I mean, it makes sense that a mooring permit or a dinghy permit would sort of include that access, because you don't have the boat. But there may be people who, in the village who have boats, but have neither a dinghy permit nor a mooring permit.
So is there the
I always
management
whisper.
plan, that's part of the application, like?
Well, it's one of the things that is a part of our application to
Right.
us.
But it's can be readily modified,
Yeah,
or, you know, it's not like a permanent.
Well, so that's right, so I was just wondering,
If things change and, like,
yeah,
I think if it's in the interest of having a permit, then we can modify the plan and say, okay, now permit's required. That's good, something like that, so.
okay, but then, I think it'd be good to have to continue that discussion.
Roger, did you say that that submitted permit was, that was given, that plan was given to Brookhaven?
I believe there is a version here that went
This-
to Brookhaven.
This
That
one, yeah, that
Yeah,
version
this
went
one
to
you
this.
want to put down,
Yeah.
okay.
So if the, I guess, if we have to modify the length of the dock, we need to do it for these documents, because the plan has the right length, so we just have to revise these and send them into the town of Brookhaven, Department of State, and whatever else, DEC.
Yeah,
Well, two of my questions were on that. Is the one with the maintenance where there's a outside firm that comes in and takes the dock out and puts it to storage? Was that what was submitted to Brookhaven?
no, I don't believe that,
No, that's just the front
that
door.
Brookhaven had, I don't think the application had anything about that.
Okay, so the thing that Chip wrote up wasn't submitted.
It's not part of the
Application.
Brookhaven application.
I was unclear on that, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's just Village of Poquott.
It's one of the, all right, so I guess the major other, or the other thing that was created was a lighting plan of the dock itself, which shows some downward shielded lights on the top of some of the pilings. Some kind of navigation lights are gonna be needed out here. And in other instances, we've heard of solar-powered navigation lights that may be required out here. And also, 100 feet of within 100 feet of the dock includes a lot of the California beach. So I think we want to know what lights there are in that whole region. Because, you know, someone might want to light the way to the dock or light other things down there. So that will be part of the whole area plan.
Roger, I noticed that lighting plan, I took this is a little bit different than the dock plan in that this original plan showed the extension of
Oh,
the
the
pier
poles.
poles with the lighting on them. It's just, this one, they're not, they're just,
Right.
Well, those were just decorative, right?
so.
Yeah, the other one had gooseneck type of lights that came down.
Yeah.
And we felt that maybe they would be seen from down the beach, even though they were high and shielded. So what we did is we took the pilings, brought them down to the 36-inch height, and then put the low profile marine lights in there.
Mhm.
All right. So one of the other things that's quite different between the, I don't know which one's, the village plan and the submitted plan, is that this, I guess it depends on where the dock ends up, but this has stairs on the beach end, and this comes at a constant height onto land. And I was wondering if there's any comment about that kind of difference. The other thing is this, it's unclear, it's unclear how high the submitted plan or the permitted plan, how high this deck is above the water level. seems pretty much at high tide.
I think there's a 4-foot indication there.
You would have it, but not
Oh, gotcha.
on this.
That our Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Right.
this is, yeah, that's okay.
Any other comments?
Why are there 2 plans?
I don't know.
Ask them.
Is it significant that there are 2 plans?
Well, one plan apparently is longer than the regulations that
One
were
plan was used for bidding, and we knew we can only afford to do 150 feet at the most, so.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
So you'd like the dock to end up at 150 feet
Or less.
or less? Okay. Didn't the consultant know that?
He did, but I think he was going by the depth of the water. You know, I don't know, we have estimates for 20 years ago, so.
That's funny. He didn't listen.
This building-
Bad
We've
boy.
only been talking about a dock that's 150 feet.
Right,
No,
put in your
don't worry.
bathymetry.
Can I ask how far this dock is gonna go on the beach? Do you know?
Well, that's part of what we need to see in a plan, I think, is exactly how it interfaces with the existing topography.
Right.